Hey, it's Scott here, and I want to make a little video to kind of show you about buying if you come across like a vintage film camera at like a Goodwill or a thrift store and you're interested in buying it. What you should look for, condition wise, before you decide to buy it. I mean, you can still find some bargains out there, and I'm this is more for people who are looking for a camera to use, rather than trying to look for some antique collector's item or whatever. Although even those can be made usually to be functional with just a little bit of TLC. Um, what I'm going to show you is kind of like initially testing things and looking at things. Although I have made another video on this channel called detailing and cleaning vintage or classic cameras, and after I explain what I'm going to do here, I'm gonna that next video would be something good, I think, to watch. It is kind of a long video. It's like 40 minutes long, but I go into a lot of details. It'll show you how to turn something that probably has had maybe decades of neglect or something to making it like work almost and actually look almost like brand new again. But I want to show you what I initially bought here. Okay, this is the camera I picked up today, and I'm kind of showing it on this book because I also picked up this book. I picked this up in this case, and I had these two straps. This one was attached to the camera, one of those kind of hippie straps I'm not really crazy about. It had a rear, excuse me, one of these rear lens caps. Didn't have a front lens cap. And I also had this electronic flash unit. But when I looked at it at the store, it was in like one of the kind of glass cases. And I kind of looked through it, and they had, like, had a price on it, and there was a price inside there. And I made sure I wasn't sure if this stuff was priced separately, but it was all in the case, and the clerk said it was everything in the case was a total of like $10. But what I initially examined, first I examined and this is what I would say to examine, like examine the camera, the optics, and I took this off later, examined the battery compartment. You can see that's clean. It had a battery in it, by the way, but it wasn't working, and I'll explain what you should do, what functions to check, and if something may not appear to be working, that doesn't mean that the camera is broken. It may be just the nature of the way the camera works, with or without a battery. But what I would look at first, I would look at the lens. I would take, if you know how to take the lens off, I would do that and look at the front and rear, and check it for mold, any specks of grime or whatever. Sometimes there might be a little bit of dust in there, but sometimes that just can't be avoided. If you know how to check the aperture, you could do that, although this one, well, this is an automatic. I already checked it later. You can check it on the camera too, because sometimes the aperture may not work or something, or sometimes the blades may have some oil or something. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's not good. But sometimes it might affect the function or whatever. But this is a pretty good lens, I would say. Then I would look inside the camera. Look at the ground glass. There doesn't appear to be any crap or nothing on there. No dirt or nothing. The mirror, it's super nice, super clean. None of the silver reflective coating has oxidized, I guess you would say. And then usually on the top along here, there's usually what they call a mirror bumper. In this case, this one appears to be like a piece of rubber. It's not really foam. Most are foam, and sometimes they get old and they kind of crumble or disintegrate along with like what they would call the light seals. When you open the back here, and the light seals on here are like what are like usually like strips of foam that fit in these valleys where the door edges go inside, or they I guess you'd say interconnect or whatever to form a light seal. These appear to be okay still, although there's a little bit that came off maybe on the door, and I'm just going to clean that off with some rubbing alcohol or denatured alcohol. There is a little pad here usually that's usually also foam. This I think I'm going to just peel off and clean off and replace with a piece of felt, self-adhesive felt. But otherwise this appears to be really clean. Also the viewfinder is clean. There's no really dust or anything inside there when I look through it. So I'll put the lens back on. And now next shot I'm going to put the batteries in. And what you might want to do, I'm going to do this for the sake of this video. I'm going to do the rest of the functions, or I'm going to show you a good source for like camera manuals that you can get. There's a source, a guy named Mike Buckus has a website where he has all different camera manuals that he has scanned and put online that you can download. And he asks some modest, I mean technically they're free, but he has some modest donation of like $3. So I would recommend supporting that website. But I'm gonna skip that part, and I'm just gonna show you. I'm gonna put the batteries in this and in this flash, and I'll demonstrate the functions. Okay, I got the batteries in this camera, and I'm just gonna kind of show you for just demonstration. Let's say you've already gotten a manual off this website I mentioned, or if it, in case you didn't have a manual already that came with the camera. Usually I find cameras like this at the Goodwill, or they're usually missing the manual. But like in this one, in the case of this one, it has the on switch here. It has the test check switch. See? And then like off, on. And now it advances. Now I say now it advances when it didn't advance before, when the old battery was in it. It might be the type that has like what they call a solenoid or a little magnetic switch that allows it to advance when the battery's good, because it's also an electronic shutter type camera if you're not familiar with those. But you can see it works. And I've aimed it at different, I have it on the auto setting, for instance, and I've aimed it at different brightnesses of light or whatever with different openings, and that determines the speed of the shutter. Let's see what I get here. See? Now if I set it a little faster, it should be, or yeah, a little faster there. See? Now it should be pretty slow. Yeah, it's at f/16 there. But yeah, you get the idea. It appears to be a good functioning camera. All it needs is some good, like I said, besides the changing that foam strip in there, and doing a decent cleaning up, detailing up. Maybe I mentioned it before, but I do have a really good video on that subject on this channel. Same thing with this. Same thing with the flash here. Although I gotta mention, when I first got this flash, this was bent somehow. It was bent back, and I carefully had to bend it straight. You see how you can adjust it. But I got decent batteries in here. And one thing I notice about some of these flashes, sometimes they'll work, but sometimes the ready light may not light up. Although in this one now it finally does. Maybe because it hasn't been used in such a long time. I tried it a few times, and it would work before that would light up, the ready light. But see, it does work then. Another thing I noticed about this flash, for instance, sometimes these doors are kind of fragile, and in this case you probably can't see it, but there's like a little crack here in this door, and it's like sticking out a little bit from the pressure of the batteries on the contacts. They kind of put some pressure on here, so I may have to try to maybe put some glue on there, maybe to kind of strengthen that or something. But like I said, it works pretty good. But yeah, I gotta say, I got another bargain here, and like I said, there's $10 for everything you see, besides this book. In fact, they even got it cheaper in this case because I had a $5 off coupon there. But I want to show you now a couple really nice websites. One for getting manuals, camera manuals, and other things, especially even for flash manuals, and also a really nice site for film shooters. It's called the Film Photography Podcast. It's these guys, they have a podcast and a really nice website. They also have like an online store where you can buy film and other things. So I'll show you that right now. Before I show you that website, I just want to quick show you an update. I'm actually slipping this scene in later after I bought some things off online. I bought this lens cap. It says Olympus on. You can get these pretty cheap. I think I paid less than $5 for this. I did buy a fitted case, and I think this sent me back only like 12 or 15 bucks. It fits around. It's these things have a habit of wearing, but it doesn't really affect things too badly. It still stays on there. And I have done the what I would call the fixes there. I put that felt on there, that felt seal, and I'm still gonna try. I think these light seals, like those channels or whatever, are still going to be okay. Give it a try. Although I think I will make a light seal video pretty soon with some other cameras that definitely do need the light seals replaced, and I'll explain, depending on the camera design, and that there's different materials you can use, either the foam pre-cut kits or cut your own foams, or you can actually use like cotton or wool yarn for light seals. But like I said, I did that seal, and then I also bought and I would also recommend this for any camera that doesn't have it. If lens, you buy one of these either a skylight filter or a UV filter for the front of the lens. It doesn't change anything optically, but it does protect the lens, especially if you have halfway decent lens like on this camera. So that's pretty much it, the updates. And I also had this other case. This case is a little better, and things all fit snugly in that case. So I have kind of a matched outfit there. So without any further ado, I'll show you that website. Okay, here's the website. It's orphancameras.com or butkus.org, BUTKUS. And like for instance, when I looked up a manual for here, I scrolled down to Olympus. And he's got pretty much he's got almost everything here. A lot of manuals here, pretty much for everything. And OM-10 was the model. I skipped it. There it is. There it is. And you can download a PDF, which I've already done, but I'm just kind of showing you here. But pretty much everything there. Pretty decent copy there, transferred. And what I did, I actually, well, I'll kind of show you quick. I didn't print it from here. I downloaded it to with Adobe Reader, and I already saved it, and I already printed one. And I'll kind of show you in front of the camera here. Although in this case, my printer was running low on ink, but you can print it really nice and big on like 8.5 by 11 or whatever size you want, and that's what I did in this case. I usually print my manuals, for instance, and I put them like in a ring binder collection there. But that's the website there for the manuals. But another nice film photography website. It's called the Film Photography Podcast. And this is really nice. It's every 2 weeks they come up with a new anywhere from an hour to 2 hours or even more podcast. There's a group of these people who talk about all kinds of, you know, film subjects, different cameras. They also have a store, online store, where they sell all different kinds of film. A lot of experimental things. You can buy all different kinds of film, not just the mainstream, you know, Fuji or whatever film. They have all kinds of unique things, different, you know, artistic things here. But I highly recommend it, and it's also very entertaining too. They're very funny. They have a great sense of humor. You know, for promoting film photography. So with that, I'll say goodbye for now, and I wish you luck looking for a camera specifically, if you know, to use, or maybe you want to like fix one up and maybe, you know, resell it. But like in any case, you know, you can still, although I gotta admit, I think the trend, is like the prices are kind of going up, because for a while I was finding cameras like this kind of cheap, but now at certain stores they're kind of raising their prices, but they haven't. You still have no way of knowing condition unless you do the things that I mentioned in this video, and then the real test is shooting at least a film through them, and to find out how well they work. So with that, I'll say goodbye for now, and good luck in finding a nice used camera to start using again. Bye for now.